Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Webinar Wednesday from Sight and Sound Technology. For this, the 1st of June, some people say it's officially the first day of summer, but wherever you are, happy 1st of June, and I hope the weather is pleasant. Certainly here on the east coast of Ireland, it's not too bad at all. My name is Stuart Lawler. I'm from Sight and Sound Technology, and absolutely delighted to be with you for another Webinar Wednesday. With me today, ably co-hosting in place of Carl Brealey, is the wonderful Sharon Lyons from Sight and Sound Technology Ireland. Hi, Sharon.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Great to have you. Thank you for coming and helping us out today.
No problem.
And our guest today, our very special guest from our tech support team, and those guys are really busy, by the way, busy all the time. So we're very grateful for his time, is Tristram Llewellyn. Hi, Tristram.
Hi there. Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Great to, you're a very familiar voice, I think, for lots of people on this session today, a very familiar name at the end of emails. You've been doing this tech support gig, I think, for a very long time. So we're delighted to have the benefit of your expertise today. Today, we are talking about Windows 11. We got a lot of queries from people saying, please do a webinar on Windows 11. And I sort of panicked a bit because I don't know anything about it or very little about it. I do run it on my personal machine, but I know very little. I chatted to Sharon, and then we chatted to Tristram, and because Tristram's been testing this thing from actually before its launch, and indeed joined us on a podcast last year to talk about it. So we're delighted that Tristram is here. We're going to delve into the pros and cons of Windows 11 in just a sec. But before we do that, if you want to get in touch with us, you can raise your hand by pressing Alt and Y if you're on Windows, Command and Y if you're on a Mac, or you can activate the raise hand button if you're joining us on a mobile device. Similarly, you can chat if you wish by Alt and H on Windows, Command and H on a Mac, or activating the chat button if you're on a mobile device. And if you are sending chat messages, please make sure that you send them to all panelists and attendees so that everybody else can benefit from the discussion going on in the chat. Sharon will be keeping an eye on the chat, and we'll make sure to get through your questions as well. We're delighted, as always, to have you with us for Webinar Wednesday, and we hope it's going to be a great session. Tristram, I suppose let's maybe start by talking about how Windows has been deployed. It's kind of, I think most people who are going to get it now, if you haven't got it by now, you're probably not going to get it in terms of if you're on a Windows 10 machine. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, I think probably for the most part, they've worked their way down the sort of matrix of compatible machines, and those machines, but it can be offered to, they've mostly got down to those really. So if you'd not been offered a Windows 11, there's possibly a good reason for that.
Okay, what about people then on Windows 10 who might be saying, oh my God, what's going to happen? Is Windows 10 being supported sort of for the next couple of years?
Yeah, we should see Windows 7, Windows 10 even. That should survive at least until 2025. And who knows, maybe there might be a bit of a campaign to extend it a little bit, even beyond that, possibly. But, you know, we got at least another 3 years out of it before anything really is going to change.
Mm-hmm. It's funny, isn't it? Because I think, wasn't it Windows XP that they changed the date of they kept changing the date that it wouldn't be supported, kept bringing it back, didn't they?
Yeah, and the same happened with Windows 7 to some extent. So Microsoft are obviously desperate to pull us all along with their particular trail, but there is always a certain amount of customer resistance. You know, it works for us. Why do we want to change it? So I'm sure that will come up.
It's been very much it's been very much end user focused in the initial rollout. I think it's starting to creep into the corporate world as well, isn't it?
Yeah, there are the beginnings of corporate deployment, but the problem really there, or the particular kink that there is in that, is that organizations like to kind of roll these things out under their control rather than being at the mercy, like most of us as individuals, being at the mercy of Windows Update. So that's probably going to take a while. I mean, some organizations take at least a couple of years, if not longer, to transition to a new OS. So on the corporate side, it's probably going to take a little while just yet.
Okay. let's talk a little bit about some of the accessibility things that people might see. So the Ease of Access Centre has been renamed.
Yeah, they've done a corporate renaming job on the Ease of Access Centre, which I always thought was a curious way of putting it. And in line with most of the other operating systems these days, they now just call it accessibility. It foxed me initially when I was using Windows 11. Where's the Ease of Access thing? That's where I want to go. And now they call it accessibility, so that's nice and straightforward at least.
Is there anything in terms of accessibility, maybe, is there anything new, or is there anything big that you've seen that are sort of big changes that people might notice, or things that could be particularly helpful?
They haven't really produced anything hugely new in it. The only new category that they've got in the accessibility is stuff for people on the neurodiversity side of things. That seems to be the one new category. Everything else is pretty much as it was. So you still got Narrator, and that's largely unchanged from where it got to in Windows 10. We've got a few more pretty themes for people who use high contrast color schemes in Windows. Those have been tarted up a little bit, and you've got more choices of them. And there is a basic dictation set up in Windows, which they started off with Windows 10, which they call voice typing in Windows 11. That's exceptionally basic sort of voice input, but yes, you can do it. Is
it as good as, because I've actually been playing with a little bit of the voice input in Microsoft Office 365. That's not too bad, is it? Is it on a par with that?
Yeah, it's similar to that really. It's not going to be super accurate, but maybe for casual use you could do it.
One of the things that we were chatting about before we came on air was the sound schemes. There's loads of new, very subtle sounds in Windows 11, and you were telling me about some new sound schemes that you can create.
Yeah, so what they've done is, to tell the story a little bit in terms of the history of it, when we got to Windows 10, through the nightmare that was Windows 8, various sounds that Windows used to make in Windows 7 just seemed to completely disappear. And that kind of meant that, you know, for a lot of our users, they wouldn't know whether the PC had logged on to the desktop, or even Windows had started up. And with Windows 11, they started bringing more of that back, even than they had done in Windows 10. So we now have kind of full-on sound themes that you can swap between, and they give you sort of audible indications of, you know, little pop-ups coming up, or if you've actually logged onto the desktop, those kind of things. So that can provide some quite useful cues as to what's going on with the PC or laptop that you're using, because it's harder and harder these days, because now we're getting laptops and PCs with SSDs in them. You might not even be able to hear the fan, but even if you can hear the fan, you can't hear the hard disk activity. So yeah. Having those little sound cues can be quite useful.
Certainly reminds me of the days you'd put your ear down to the thing to see, could you hear
is it still on? Is it still alive in there somewhere? Yes.
There's a new scheme, or the new section in the accessibility section rather, for neurodiversity and learning disabled people, including the Immersive Reader. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, the Immersive Reader and a lot of these features aimed at neurodiversity are kind of along the sort of the lines of clearing away the clutter and allowing you to deal with the content specifically. So like if you're looking at a word processor, for example, it removes all the buttons and all the status bars and all of that away, and you can just concentrate on what you're working on. With the Immersive Reader, it does very much the same thing. It removes all the other clutter away, and you just have the text or whatever it is that you're working on or reading. So it's designed to make the whole thing a little bit less distracting and cluttered.
Okay. And even actually, I would use the Immersive Reader sometimes on web pages if I'm reading a news article, because certainly some of the voices in the Immersive Reader can be very pleasant to listen to, if you don't want to have to listen to your screen reader. Tristram, you know, I suppose for those of us who loved Internet Explorer for a long time, some people may have clung on to it for dear life. You're not going to be able to do that in Windows 11 anymore.
No, unfortunately, Internet Explorer 11 hits the buffers. As of Windows 10, it is effectively retired. So yeah, everyone's going to be forced to either Microsoft Edge, which is the nearest equivalent, or Google Chrome if you fancy something more in the Google direction of things. There are other browsers, of course, but yes,
Right.
no more Internet Explorer.
Yeah, it certainly had a long life. There's no doubt, and only one update a year. I have to say, when I read this, you sent us some notes earlier today. When I read this, I kind of said, "Oh my God, thank God! I've lost track of the amount of times you put on Windows 10 that says, please wait, your system is updating,' or whatever it does." We're not going to get all that anymore. The huge big updates.
No, Microsoft have decided that maybe one update a year is quite enough for everybody to be dealing with, and I'm sure. Certainly on the corporate side, people are heaving a sigh of relief on that front, and I think some of us users maybe as well, but we don't get things turned upside down twice a year, and we only have it once a year.
I guess there'll still be security updates and stuff with their
Tristram. Yeah, there are two kind of major strands to the Windows updating scenario. One are the interim security updates, and you always get those, and those are going to always flow regardless. And then there are these things called the feature updates, which are sort of like, updates to Windows that are a little bit more than just security updates. They're usually the things that, they'll bring you a new feature or two. So yeah, but you can, for example, if you want to get involved in the whole Windows update thing, say, okay, I'll have the security updates, but I don't want to install this feature update that's being offered me. You can actually leave that. It won't install all by itself. So you have some control, but not maybe total control.
How have you found or maybe the better way to ask this question is, what sort of questions have been coming in on the tech support desk from users of Windows 11 who are using the assistive technology solutions, maybe that we would be supporting, some of the low vision screen reading technology? Are people generally working okay with it, or has it been different?
We haven't seen any major bumps in the road, and I would have thought if we were going to see them, we would have saw them early on, really, and there doesn't seem to be any major ones. We do get questions, obviously, if people have got, older versions of the Freedom Scientific products, then we're advising people who are on those earlier versions to see if they can get upgraded, because of the compatibility issues that may arise.
Yeah, absolutely. So I suppose, and if you can upgrade, and I guess if you're on a Windows 10 machine that is capable of the upgrade, and that's probably another thing worth mentioning, because there are specific criteria, I think, that Microsoft have when they're saying what machines will take Windows 11.
Yeah, the two big ones that Microsoft have got are, you have to have it's an 8th generation or later CPU, and they also have a requirement for something called Trusted Platform Module, which is like a security angle on things, and those have been the two big sort of things. And not every PC has these things, and so that does mean that some of the older machines, maybe 5 or 6 years or so old, they might not necessarily get on for that very reason.
Okay, so worth checking out. And there is a tool, isn't there? You can download, I think, the Windows Health tool.
Yeah, that's right. There's a PC help tool, okay, which you can get.
I see a few things coming up in chat, and we will go to Sharon to just look at those in a sec. But Sharon, maybe before we go to chat, because you've seen you're seeing Windows 11 in the real world a lot, is in your travels all over Ireland in schools. How is it working out, do you think?
It seems to be working well with any of the software that I work with. Anyway, seems to be pretty much the same as Windows 10. Things look different. I work a lot with people with low vision, and it can be a little bit off-putting because everything's kind of different colors, and that might not work for some people. But then, yeah, I mean, it's fast. It's there's a few things that aren't there that used to be there. So,
Yeah, they have done things to the taskbar, for example. You can't move the taskbar anymore. So that can be a bit of an issue for some people.
You can't move it.
You won't be able to move it. So occasionally you'll run into somebody that maybe likes to have it on the left-hand side, or they really want it on the top of the screen and not the bottom. And you're no longer able to move that.
I think you can still auto hide it.
You can automatically hide it, yes.
And you can move the start. The start
button can be moved back to the left if that's where you prefer it to be.
Yeah. So that might be good. I'm quite interested in this decluttering, Tristram.
Yeah,
it was mentioned earlier. Whereabouts do you go for that? Is that
well, that'll all be under the accessibility heading. If you go into the settings app, you will be able to find it somewhere there. Yeah,
I'll have a hunt around. There's a few things that I used to switch off in Windows 10 that I can't switch off anymore. So yeah, I might try and find out how to do that. So
yeah, can we have a look at the chat, Sharon, to see what's there? I just see somebody has written "Come back, WordPerfect." I think it's Norman. Don't we all remember it? Tristram, do you have fond memories of WordPerfect 5.1?
I had many a happy day with WordPerfect. I even used to teach it in the Student Computer Centre, and many yonks ago.
I think for those of us of a certain age, WordPerfect brings back very happy memories. I completely agree with you. So come back, WordPerfect. So yeah, Sharon, how's the chat going?
So there's a question here about Dragon, the voice recognition program, and they're asking, does it work on Windows 11? Because there's a bit of noise on the web saying that it doesn't. Yeah, and actually that was Miles. Thanks for that, Miles. And Jason Beale has come back after that, saying that Dragon's 15.3 will work on Windows 11.
It should do. I mean, yeah, we got installations of 15.6 working on Windows 11. I haven't seen it not work because it's Windows 11. There may be other things that are happening. Maybe we need to define not working, because that could mean a number of things. That could mean a number of things. But so far as I know, and the installations I've seen, it seems to be working reasonably happily on Windows 11, so it shouldn't be a problem. But you might want to make sure that you definitely got a Dragon 15, and make sure you can get access to the updates.
Yeah. It's good to update. There's talk of new voices for Narrator, I guess. Yeah, are they any good? Have you tried?
I think it's more that you just get a greater range of them. I don't know that anyone are necessarily particularly good, but that sort of thing is a bit of a subjective thing. You know, some people like some speech engines, and some people find they can't listen to it. You know.
Yeah. So that was Felix's question. Thanks, Felix. And yeah, so it's well, a Narrator will probably have its improvements just with a new operating system, I guess.
Yeah, I think the main thing is the voices that you're getting access to through Narrator. They did a lot of work on it in Windows 10. They added a whole load of extra commands, and Microsoft has sort of been gently upskilling Narrator a little bit to work with some of their Office software and things like that. So you could use it if you really had to. So yeah, they have improved it. Yeah, if you're completely stuck.
Yeah,
I'm just going to. Sorry, Sharon, I know you're going through the chat. I'm just going to mention again, if people want to raise their hands, they can. We have a raised hand from Derry. So Derry, we will come to you in a couple of minutes. So I see your raised hand and we will get to you.
Yeah, so there's a question here about what does the S mode do? So from Jonathan, what does the S mode do in Windows 11?
The S mode is a mode that Microsoft dreamt up in the days of Windows 10. I don't think Microsoft are holding very much to it, but it was meant to be a mode where they kind of locked down the Windows system so that only what they used to call modern apps, which are like the ones that you get from the Microsoft Store, only those would be allowed to run, and none of the regular sort of 32-bit older style applications would run. And the idea was that you could have a more secure experience with that, and they were kind of punting that to education particularly, I think was one area they were really looking at that.
Right.
The problem really being is that nobody really wanted to use the store apps that much. And, people do want to be able to use Google Chrome, for example, which wouldn't fit under S mode at all. Or, I mean, whilst you could get Microsoft Office into, the Microsoft Store and run those versions, some other app that you might want to use that won't run under Windows S mode, which made it rather unpopular, really. So yeah, S secure is what they intended it to be.
Right. Yeah, it's it's kind of restrictive.
Yeah,
maybe too restrictive.
it was kind of when Microsoft thought that they were going to turn Windows into this touch-based platform with some of their Surface devices, and they were going to plow into education and some other markets, making it a little bit more Apple-like in terms of the security model and kind of like how you got your apps. But the problem with Windows is there's a lot of legacy there, and you need access to 32-bit apps, and 64-bit apps as well, like Google Chrome. Many people want to use that, and that just won't fit under S mode anyway.
Right. Well, Jonathan was saying he was struggling to install software on a student's laptop, so I guess that's kind of related.
Yeah, that would stop you from installing lots of software.
Right. Lots of kind of generally thought kind of popular software. Like
the kind of stuff you normally might want to use.
Right. Norman is here, of course, the word perfect man.
Hey.
Saying that his desktop from 2017, which isn't all that long ago, but it will not take Windows 11. And actually my laptop from 2019 won't take Windows 11 either. And I think it's something to do with the processor or the age of the processor.
Yeah, well, so the CPUs, the processors inside a lot of these machines, they have different generations, and Microsoft said the cutoff point is if you've got an 8th generation and above, you're okay. If it's below that, you can't have Windows 11.
Right. So
there's there's a line in the sand that Microsoft had drawn and said, well, you can have Windows 11, but you guys stay back.
And then people have to buy new computers. And
they have to buy new. Yeah, so but I think part of the criteria that Microsoft set up was in order to stimulate the market for PCs. I mean, the problem being with that is that most people, got their new machines during the pandemic, and perhaps probably everybody who can get a machine has already got one. But those people who might want to keep their existing ones going, they're locked out of that upgrade cycle.
Yeah, and it's quite fast, Windows 11, and it's more efficient as well. So it would work on a lot of different machines if it wasn't for the issue with the generation. Yeah. It's a shame. And can I continue, Stuart?
Oh, please. Yep.
I want to roll here.
Yeah, there's good questions coming in chat. Yeah, definitely.
Derek Naismith says, I found the main issue is not being able to add items to the system tray easily. I'm with you.
Oh, we talked about this off air as well. Yeah, definitely.
Yes, I like to see everything on the system tray because I cannot be doing with this overflow thing. And a lot of people feel the same way. I'm working on it. I'm trying to figure out how. Oh, actually, no, I found something there just when we were talking about it earlier. You can go in and switch on what you want to be on your system tray, but there's no checkbox to say, please just show everything,
Yeah, they used to be in Windows 10, certainly.
Exactly, yeah. I used to switch that on everyone's PC, whether they liked it or not. But it was much easier, especially with the screen reader users, to be able to just have them all on one level and not have to go anywhere else. Yeah. So no, there's no catch-all button to say just display everything, but you can go in and switch on what you want to be displayed. So at least we can do that. Now, Ross, are all our products in Sight and Sound okay with Windows 11?
Yes, all the current
plus
ones.
Read Write? Yeah.
Yeah, Read and Write should be fine. Yeah, any of a version 12, I think it's 12.6 or something like that. Those will all work on Windows 11. Those should be fine. The Freedom Scientific stuff, anything 2022 and upwards will work and will continue to work. I'm less certain though that with the 2021 and below that those will work or continue to work, because we do know some bits of scaffolding that hold those products up might disappear at some point.
Yeah, so it's kind of things moving on really. I guess Ross says that originally they were told not to move to Windows 11. I think we're kind of past that stage now, aren't we?
No, I think yeah, right. I don't think we're saying, you know, by all means avoid it. It probably would be good just for you to do a little bit of due diligence and make sure you've got a version that should work. So, you know, if you got a version 2022 for the Freedom Scientific products, you're absolutely fine. There's no reason not to upgrade at this point. I mean, you know, gone are the days. I mean, remember when Windows XP came out? I think it was about 3 months before JAWS could even work with Windows XP, as I recall. And I'm not sure that there wasn't a similar amount of time involved with Windows 7, possibly. But you know, the 2022 products and even the 2021s, they were able to work with Windows 11 straight away the day it came out.
It's another good reason, I suppose, to think about how you might keep your assistive technology, you know, as up to date as you can, I suppose, whether you're buying an SMA or taking advantage of some of the offers and stuff. So
yeah, it's definitely worth sort of looking into that. You know, if you think that Windows 11 is going to be on your horizon, or you want to be on Windows 11, then yeah, it would probably be good to do the due diligence at that point.
Okay. Anything else you want to flag in chat, Sharon? Before we go to raise hands? Loads. Okay.
It's just exploded. You might have to give me a minute.
Do you want us
more,
to give you?
Absolutely. Just to say, there's more like-minded people about the system tray. Anyway, thanks, Graham. I hear you. Yeah, maybe go to hands and
okay. I'll just flag one really quickly that I spotted in chat. Somebody was asking, is there anything to consider when updating from Windows 10 to Windows 11 in terms of JAWS? And Tristram, I don't know about you, but when I did it, I went from Windows 10 to 11. I ran the setup thing. I remember going off and I came back and literally it had just rebooted into 11 and JAWS was there.
Yeah.
It was fine, you know?
Yeah, no, but I mean, yeah, we had that experience when we went a transition from Windows 7 through to Windows 10. You had to be quite careful, but maybe you uninstalled JAWS, did the upgrade, and then you had to reinstall JAWS back to the system, and then you were okay. The transition between Windows 10 and Windows 11 should be a lot smoother. You won't need to do any of that sort of thing. You're not really expected to do any special admin to make that work. It should just happen.
And I think the question was about settings as well. Yeah, certainly anything I had custom scripts around, they all came over. I did have to. It's interesting. Some applications I did have to reinstall. An audio application I use called SoundForge. But yeah, I guess some applications you may need to do.
Yeah, possibly if they're kind of driver level based sort of apps, and that could cause you some problems somewhere. Yeah, I mean, you know, most apps should continue to work. You may find there's 1 or 2 bits of software you might need to reinstall or just repair the install of.
Okay, brilliant. So thanks for that, Tristram. While Sharon is delving into your chat messages, I'm going to start going to some raised hands. We have Derry, and then we're going to go to Roz, and then we're going to go to Lenita. I hope I pronounced that correctly. So Derry is a regular Webinar Wednesday attendee, friend of the show, as we say. Derry, you should be able to hopefully unmute yourself.
Hi guys, how are you keeping? Thanks for doing this great webinar. So I'm using Windows 11, I've got JAWS 22 and I've got Narrator. I've tried out the naturally speaking voices. But is there any easier way of getting around Microsoft Store, buying some apps?
I don't think there are any particularly useful keystrokes. you might try F6 because that might let you switch windows. But off the top of my head, I don't think there's a lot, because the Microsoft Store kind of, it resembles a web page really, as far as Jaws is concerned.
A bad web page.
Yeah, probably not a very good one.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's not a lot I think you can do that's very logical anyway.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I like the sounds. They're kind of more muted sounds, and they're not as in your face.
They are. They're not in your face. Yeah, you're right.
And the open book, that still works. And I've got Jaws and Lisi, and that's how it works. So yeah, if anybody wants to go for it, they should actually move it. It's great, I must say. And thanks for the webinar, lads.
Thanks a million. Thanks a million, Jerry. Always good to hear you.
Thanks, Jerry.
Take care. Thanks a million. All right, that was Jerry. Okay, I'm going to go to Ross Henshaw. So Ross, you should get a little ping to unmute yourself.
Hi,
How you doing? How are you?
Hi, Ross.
I'm good, thank you. Hi. I just wanted to query Kurzweil because I still demonstrate and use Kurzweil an awful lot. I know I also use read and write, and I'm just concerned about moving to Windows 11. Can you explain to me the solution? I presume that I mean, my Kurzweil is definitely pre-2018. So can you please explain to me what solution I could possibly have to preserve what I already have on Kurzweil and to continue using it in for demonstration purposes with establishments that might be using it?
I think, do you know which Kurzweil product is that you're using? Is it Kurzweil 3000 or Kurzweil 1000?
It's 3000. It's the 3000.
Yeah, I think if it's a version 15, I think
How do I find that?
You can probably go into the help menu, and then under the bottom of your help menu, there'll be an About Kurzweil 3000. It should tell you there what version you got currently.
Okay, I will try and do that while you are chatting. Thank you. So if it isn't version 15, supposing it wasn't version 15, what would I have to do?
You can purchase an upgrade from whichever version you're currently on to version 15.
Version 14.23.
Yeah. So I don't know that 14. I mean, it probably will work. The only other thing to bear in mind with Windows upgrades is if you're using like a scanner of some sort.
I am.
What you might want to do, so what you might want to do is find out whether the manufacturer of that flatbed scanner has drivers for Windows 11, or whether they've got some kind of announcement that says we've tested it and it works with Windows 11, because that's always another thing. I would always kind of check that out before you went down the upgrade route, because it's always better to do it that way around and upgrade and then suddenly find you need to go back in reverse.
Thank you very much, Tristan. Thank you.
Ross, thank you for your question. Thanks a million. Okay, let's go to Lenita, and then we'll go to David Wilkins after that. So David, you're up after Lenita. So Lenita, you should be able to unmute yourself. And I think we have you, Lenita.
Yeah. Am I there?
You are. How are you?
Hi, I'm okay, thank you. I wanted to say first that I switched from Windows 7 to Windows 11 without having had Windows 10, and thanks to Sight and Sound, the computer's working really well. Also to say that I use Kurzweil. I think 14 point something is Kurzweil 1000, 14 point something is the latest, and I can read books that I scanned with Kurzweil 12.03 on Kurzweil 14 with Windows 11. But my question was, and I don't know, maybe it's a silly question, what is mouse over, and is it important that I should know about it?
So a mouse over is a property that a particular area of a web page, generally speaking, will have. And what's supposed to happen is that if somebody is to place a mouse over a particular location on screen, that might trigger an action or like a menu to display. So quite frequently in the days when it sort of started off, you'd have a a series of drop-down menus on a web page,
Right.
and you point your way over the top of one of those, and then it would drop down a little menu of other choices that were not there before.
Right.
And there is a way in JAWS, I forget the keystroke off the top of my head, but there is a keystroke that you can use as example, maybe our website, Sight and Sound. You can trigger that action of a mouse being over the top of something and trigger the drop down of a menu. I don't know that there are so many pages that do that as much as they did maybe a little while back, but it depends on what sites you visit. You may find that there is a site you go to all the time where they do have that. But JAWS normally will tell you that you're on a mouse over type object.
Right. Thank you.
All right, Lenita, thank you very much for your question. Thanks a million. Okay, and then we will go to David Wilkins. And David, you should be able to unmute yourself. And we'd love to hear your question. Anyone else wants to raise their hand? Hi, David.
Because I'm unmuted now.
You are indeed. We can hear you.
Okay, great. Okay, two questions really. If they're now retiring Internet Explorer, can I still use Firefox with Windows 11? And if not, would you recommend Google Chrome or Edge as being more accessible? And the other question is, I'm an NVDA user. Should that still behave more or less the same way it's been behaving with Windows 10 if I switch over to Windows 11? I'm hearing there aren't going to be any really big hiccups.
Yeah, well, all the modern browsers work on Windows 11. That includes Firefox as well. There shouldn't be any major changes. I don't know too much about the situation with NVDA, but I would expect that it would operate just the same as it would do as it has done on Windows 10.
Right.
There's nothing that fundamental that's changed.
Right.
I suppose if there's anybody using NVDA on the call here on the chat who wants to put anything in the chat, it would be good to answer that question, because I don't know either, David. So apologies for that. Okay. Thanks for your question,
fine.
David.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Sharon might kill me, but I would always advocate using Chrome or Edge over Firefox. Completely personal choice, by the way.
I think in order of how well supported these things are, if you're looking at JAWS and you're maybe looking at Zoom Text or Fusion, probably Chrome is going to be your top hit, closely followed by Edge because it's mostly the same browser, and Firefox, if you really happen to like that type of environment, yeah, you can use that as well. In Firefox, you might have to tweak a few settings though, just to make sure that it'll actually work.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry,
Firefox.
Sharon.
I don't use Firefox actually.
Oh, sorry. You were a big fan back in the day.
I used to be, and then I just found because I would test a lot of things, like the shortcut of the week. I would test on different browsers. A while back, I did a lot on browsers, and I just found Firefox was a little bit hit or miss. So I stopped using it, but I know a lot of people that still use it and love it. So there's no reason why you shouldn't. But I'm a Google girl, aren't I, Stuart? So
you are,
I'm
Sharon. That is very true. Chrome through and through. Okay. And message in chat saying NVDA works really well. Thanks, Derry. So that's good to know on Windows 11. So Harry Mead has his hand raised. We might as well bring Harry. Harry is a friend of the show, as they say. He's a regular attendee. So Harry, you should be able to unmute yourself, I hope. We have you.
Can you hear me?
We can. How are you?
Grand. Good afternoon. All good. Thank you. A really basic question. I feel a bit ashamed asking it. I've not been offered the upgrade, so I assume there's something on my PC that's not allowed, my laptop that's not allowing it. How do I check what the CPU is on this laptop?
Probably the best way to do that was a application built into Windows called System Information, and if you search for that in your Start menu and open that, you should be able to get a report of what your system has got on it, including the RAM and the BIOS version of your motherboard, etc. It's all in there.
What I'm looking for is the CPU version. Is that right?
Yeah, it will show you that. You might have to compare it against some other things just to know exactly what you got. I can't remember in System Information how they report it, but you would be able to look up the model number of a CPU and you'd be able to work out what it is.
Harry, can I suggest though that maybe just before you do that, you feed the dog first? And then you can do all your other stuff.
Yeah,
okay?
well, I thought I'd hope that she'd hold out to the end of the webinar.
No, give her dinner. She wants food.
I thought she was actually trying to answer the question.
Well,
Maybe.
she's probably got more about her than I have on some of this stuff, that's for sure. And what was the other? There were two components that you gave at the beginning. One was the CPU, and there was one other thing, something to do
yeah,
with
Trusted
secure...
Platform Module, or TPM.
Yes.
Your machine will either have it or it won't, and it's a little chip that allows the PC to know that it's really the copy of Windows that you have installed on the PC, and it's not been altered in any way, otherwise it won't boot. Most laptops will have it, but desktop PCs tend not to until fairly recently.
No, it's a laptop, but it is a slightly old one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Most laptops have TPM and have had for a number of years, but that's something you might need to kind of investigate.
Indeed. Lovely. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Harry. Good to speak to you.
Great show as ever. Thanks.
Take care. Good to talk to you. Bye-bye. Okay. Tristram, just before and we do have a raised hand from Georgina Joyce, and Georgina, I see your raised hand. We'll come to you in a second. I consciously want to get back to Sharon's chat messages too. But one thing we talked about off air, and it's worth mentioning for people, is this this quick assist application, which I suppose certainly for you guys in tech support is a huge thing that allows you to connect to people's machine. Windows 11 treats quick assist slightly differently, doesn't it?
Well, there are a couple of bits of movement on Quick Assist. I mean, just to recap, Quick Assist is this little app that has been built into Windows 10. I forget exactly which version they put it in, but it was probably something like 1809. And it allows you, when you launch it, to receive a code from somebody else who's got another copy of Quick Assist, and they can log on to your PC if you need some assistance. That's been a kind of a godsend for us, because it's on practically every Windows 10 PC that you come across. Microsoft have thrown a spanner in the works, though, particularly recently, where they are moving the Quick Assist app into the Windows Store, at least for Windows 10 at any rate, and that might cause some people they'll have to then install the Microsoft Store version of Quick Assist rather than use the one that they've been using now, and that's causing us a few headaches, and indeed other people as well.
Okay, so we just have to watch that one and see where it goes.
There's been a fair bit of pushback, but you know, it's a question of whether Microsoft are going to take any notice of that and give us a bit of a stay of execution on that front.
Yeah, and the you know, hopefully they will listen to feedback from users, which you'd hope. Okay, we'll go back to Sharon's chat in just a sec, but just want to go to Georgina, who has, and I do see some other raised hands. We will get to everyone. Georgina has a question. So Georgina, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Hopefully you can hear me now.
Hi, Georgina.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello to everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
What are widgets and how do we use them as screen reader users?
That's a good question, because I haven't delved an awful lot into widgets. I find them so annoying that I just want to close the window straight away. They're like sort of little mini applications. They'll do something like tell you what the weather is locally. They might tell you some sports results. I think the widgets, in terms of Microsoft's sort of pitch for it, are a little bit like the live tiles that they had in the start menu in Windows 10. I'm not sure how easily they are navigable with JAWS. I haven't really tried that very recently. Probably you could probably tab through them at the very least, if not use the cursor keys through them though, because they will probably resemble a web page as much as anything really. But you can't do very much with them. They're the sort of thing, they'll tell you the weather, they'll tell you the time, they'll give you some sports results. They're sort of more newsy, that sort of thing. But they're not particularly exciting at the moment, so there's not so much of a temptation to go visit them at the moment.
They all preset, are they, or can you configure them to think actions or something to pull the information that you want?
I think the only thing you really can do is decide to have one or not, as the case may be. You can't actually do very much with them. You kind of take them as is, really, and what information they provide.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks,
It's
Georgina.
helpful.
Yeah,
I'm not going to worry about them, obviously.
No, I wouldn't.
No,
I wouldn't.
No.
I found in the settings where to switch them off.
Yeah, yeah.
So
cheers, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Georgina. Yeah, great question. Okay, I know there's a few. I see Abba Kabara, and I was going to say abracadabra there. My goodness, and Philip Troll, hands raised. But Sharon, I just was conscious of your chat messages, and how's it all going over on chat?
Yeah, it's going.
It's going. Okay.
Thank you very much, everybody. And sorry if I've missed any, but just to say, Felix has had to head off, but he was just mentioning about older machines that you can, like, we wouldn't recommend it, but you can actually, I think you can get it to work.
You can if you're absolutely determined to do it, but you're kind of on your own as well, really.
Yeah.
I think you might be getting the support from Microsoft, maybe if something goes wrong, I guess.
But I'd say we're okay for a while anyway, as you said, Tristram.
Yeah, 2025, I think, is the earliest cutoff date I've heard.
Yeah, so people just saying some things. Yeah, Kurzweil is good. Open Book is good. NVDA is good.
It actually sounds like, in fairness, most stuff that was working well in Windows 10, I hope I'm not going to be, somebody I'm sure will come and say, no, that's not true. But as far as I could see, stuff that was working well in Windows 10 is working well in Windows 11. Tristram,
yeah,
what do you think?
Yeah, but that kind of underlines really the fact that there isn't that much of a difference between Windows 10 and Windows 11. There are some cosmetic differences. There may be a particular printer or scanner that you've got which may not survive the changeover. But for the most part, things will carry on going so long as your screen reader or magnifier or other important bit of application is known to be compatible. You should be fine.
Simon Doy is asking, would we recommend a security suite that is fully accessible with both Windows 10 and 11?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
So Windows 10 and Windows 11 both have the Windows Defender security mechanism built into them. The thing about the third-party ones is that they can be very complicated in order to justify their existence, and you can run into problems where either they slow the PC down or they might even actually catch your Access Technology software and quarantine it, which we did once have with Zoom Text a few years back. So I don't really think that you have to do that. I mean, if you really don't want to depend on the Windows Defender, you can obviously spend some money and get another security suite, but that can bite you as well. Whereas Windows Defender is well behaved, it doesn't cause the Access Tech any problems, and it's accessible. So why pay any extra money for it?
Remember back in the day, there was AVG and there was Avast. There was a couple of other things. I haven't run on my own computer anyway. I haven't run an antivirus program other than the one you mentioned, Tristram, the Windows Essentials or Security, probably in 8 or 9 years. Yeah,
I think, to be honest, it's not really, strictly speaking, necessary anymore. And actually, there are quite a lot of downsides with it because AVG and I think Avira and some others, they got, because they're providing a free product, they're also monetizing things like your user data, and that can, that can be a bit problematic from a privacy point of view. So whereas Windows Defender isn't going to do any of those things, and it does tend to work.
Yeah, they used to always add the little signatures to your emails as well, didn't they?
Yeah, they do all of that. I mean, the other thing is that they may say, "Oh, we're going to protect you while you're online," but the other side of that particular coin is they're going to break apart your secure connection so that they can have a look at the traffic and see if there's any nasties in it. But they've broken open your connection, so if you're with a bank or something like that, they're inspecting all of that information that's coming through. So from a security point of view, you've got to trust them, and you know that's quite a big ask, maybe.
I see an interesting just thing there in chat popped in relation to that from our friend Jim Smith, who has attended previous sessions as well, and most of his corporate customers on Windows 10 are using a Windows Defender. So,
yeah,
you know, that speaks volumes, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's not using
he's not
got rid of
the
third party one on the home machine. Yeah.
If Jim got rid of it, I'm happy. That kind of vindicates what I said.
Yeah.
and Simon says Norton's completely inaccessible.
Oh God, yeah. Norton's.
Well, it has been iffy for many years.
For a long time, yeah. Okay, I'm going to go back to a few. Yeah, you don't need. I'm going to go back to a few raised hands. So Adara Kabara, apologies, Adara. You should be able to unmute yourself, and we'd love to hear from you. And then we'll be going to Phil after Adara. Hi, Adara. I think we have you unmuted.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, Sharon, Stuart, and Tristram. I'm good. I'm good. I have a quick question. It's a basic question. How do you download Windows 11? Because I've got 10 at the moment. And what's the best way of downloading it from? But my machine's up to date. I just don't have a JAWS 2022 at the moment. But what's the best way of updating Windows 11 or to Windows 11?
Well, yeah. Okay, so the mechanism by which you would normally get Windows 11 is you can pop up your start menu, type in the word check, and there should be a check for updates. If you press enter on that, that'll take you into the Windows update mechanism. And if your PC is able to receive it, it will let you know. And I think even if your PC can't receive it, it will also let you know.
Right.
So that's the easiest way to do it.
Okay.
All right, Adara.
That was all I needed. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Hope the install goes well for you. Yeah, it's
no problem.
Thanks, Emil. It's actually a great question. Sometimes you talk about all these things, and the question is, hang on, how do I get it if I want to get it? So let's go to Philip Troll. And Phil, you should be able to unmute yourself. I think we have you. Hello.
Hello.
Oh. You're gone back to mute. Let me try. I'm just going to try it.
There we go.
I think you're unmuted now. No. You're unmuted, but we're not hearing you. Okay. We might come back to Phil later on. If anyone else wants to raise your hands, you can do so by pressing Alt and Y, or activate the raise hand button on your app if you want. Sharon, anything on chat that you want to flag for us?
Yeah, Graham was saying that about the Windows update, the question that Adara had there. That he finds it very hard to that issue. Hello.
I think you just dropped off for a sec, Sharon.
Sorry. Yeah, no, I was just saying. Something happening with my internet here. I'm sorry. Bear with me.
That's okay. So I think the question was about the Windows update screen once in Windows 11. Yeah.
Once you're in Windows 11. Okay. So Graham's just clarifying that. Yeah. So in Windows 11 with JAWS, the Windows update screen isn't great. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, there may be things that Microsoft have done to that. I mean, they have changed a lot of the setting screens round.
Yeah.
I don't know whether, personally, from my point of view, it's just that they moved things round when you're just not used to them, but they might have done something aggravating to that.
I think there might just be an extra level of tabbing.
Yes, I think that's probably it. Yeah,
you have to dive almost deeper to get to where
you are.
Yeah,
that does seem to be the case. That's that's certainly the case. But the trend has been over as many years, the last 10 or 15 years that I've sort of been looking at all of this. Lots of small things get put into the tab order, whereas you used to be able to use F6 to switch around different parts of a window. And now they just shove everything in a tab order. So yeah, you do get more stuff to wade through.
Great.
Okay.
I'm just checking. Sorry. Bear with me. Yeah.
While Sharon's doing that, we're coming up on 3 minutes to the hour. So
Right.
last chance for anyone who wants to raise their hand. If you have a question for Tristram.
Yes. There was a couple of questions about the voices. You know, we were mentioning that there's more voices for like Narrator and Immersive Reader in Windows 11. And someone asked if they were Scottish or different regional accents, and no, they all seem to be American or kind of English standard accents, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, but it's more variety within a certain small corner of English, really, than international, I think, at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And actually, somebody asked, what is Immersive Reader?
The Immersive Reader is a document reader which will allow you to verbalize a document that you've got on screen, and it will also give you a very clean presentation of the document if you happen to be looking at it, and it just allows you to be able to access a longer document in speech or in a very clean way visually.
It's in Office 365. Well, yeah, it's definitely in Office 365.
Yeah,
and I think on a web page it strips out a lot of the other stuff, doesn't it?
Yeah, it gets rid of all of the other stuff. So you might, I mean, you might be on the BBC website and the news bit, and you might want to read a longer article. You might want to do that in the Immersive Reader because that's slightly easier going.
Okay, had a raised hand from Joe Fullerton, and then she put her hand back down. So Joe, I'm not sure if you raised your hand by mistake. If you did, or if you didn't, or you meant to raise your hand, by all means, put it back up. We'll get back to you. Rees has a question. So Rees Shah. So Rees, I'm going to ask you to unmute, and hopefully we'll be able to have your question.
Hello.
We have you, Rees. How are you?
Oh, hello. How are you? Just to confirm, you're saying that people don't really need any additional antivirus software, then, like McAfee or anything like that. They can just rely on Windows Defender. Is that right?
Yes, I mean,
yes.
I think that's generally the consensus these days. I mean, 10 years ago, people had it a different way. It's what I would do personally. If I had a Windows 10 or 11 PC, I would just use the Windows Defender. You might want to maybe do a supplementary scan with something like Malwarebytes, but I don't think it's like a compulsory thing. The problem with all of these heavy internet suites is they can sometimes give you a false sense of protection and security, and you can be a bit reckless, and you know that might not be a good way to behave, if you like, and still get away with it, really. So having the Windows Defender, which is quite a good, decent, basic bit of protection, and you know, not rely too heavily on the third-party suites, because they can cause you some issues as well. They have a downside as well.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks a million, Rees. That's brilliant. And we do have a raised hand from Joe. So, Joe, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Hi, thank you.
How are you?
Thanks.
Hello.
Hi, I'm good. Thanks. Thanks for answering my question about the accents.
No worries.
That's useful. Obviously, I work in Scotland, so I think it's quite nice if you can get a Scottish accent.
Indeed.
Because I know we've got the Scottish Voice that you can download to use with applications like JAWS, but you have to be in education to get that free. Anyway, yeah, I was going to say something else, but I can't remember what it is now. But yeah, Windows 11 sounds interesting. Thank you very much for this summary of all the main issues. That's really helpful. Yeah. Oh, I was going to say about Immersive Reader that it's similar to Reader View on an iOS device, isn't it?
Yeah.
So on an iPhone or in Safari, you can choose Reader View. And it strips out all the images and stuff that's in the way, doesn't it?
That's right.
Yeah, that's a very good analogy.
That's a good analogy. Yeah. Most people might know that if they use other devices. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, good idea. Yeah.
Excellent.
It's great. And I think Google's got a similar, in the Google Chrome apps, there are Chrome apps for education or for accessibility. And they've got something a bit like that, haven't they? In Chrome that you can use.
I should know that, really.
There you go, Sharon. There's a piece of research now for the next session.
Yeah. Bear with me while I go off and
Call Scotland's a really good website for information like that. Call Scotland. Yeah, and they host the Scottish Voice.
Great.
Ah, brilliant. This is the Cereproc voices, I think, is that you're talking about, the Scottish Voice?
I think so. I think it's Cereproc.
Yeah, that's right, Cereproc. Sorry, yeah, they are. You
they're good.
Pay for them. We're trying to talk to Cereproc in the past because people would be interested in their voices. But yeah,
can I quickly mention RNIB has a Welsh voice, just quickly?
Oh, go on.
So
yeah,
we have a Welsh voice. Yeah, so you can get that through RNIB if you need a Welsh voice to actually speak in Welsh. You know, like a proper French, like a French synthesizer. So it's a proper Welsh, not just a Welsh accent, a Welsh language voice.
A Welsh language voice. Brilliant.
You better mute me. Sorry.
Thank you, Joe. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye.
I think that dog was getting excited about the Welsh voice there.
There's loads of dogs want to get involved in this session today, for whatever reason. Okay, last chance for anyone who has a question for Tristram. I'm just having a quick look here. We've no more raised hands. You know, I suppose, Tristram, what I'm getting from you, and certainly what we're hearing from people in general today, I think the general consensus in Windows 11 is working well.
Yeah, I think on the whole, there's been relatively few bumps in the road really with it. So yeah, if your software is current and you know your printer or scanner has got some drivers for that, then there shouldn't really be any huge problem. You know, if your laptop or PC will have let it on, then it's probably going to be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes we forget about the printer, don't we?
Yeah,
indeed.
Yeah, the ancillaries always get overlooked quite often. It's a good idea, especially if you absolutely depend on your printer or scanner. Go and find out from the manufacturer, but it will definitely work on Windows 11 or whatever the operating system you're currently going up to, because knowing that beforehand, okay, you might get some bad news, but at least you know then you can maybe put the upgrade off, or you say, well, it's time to get another one. It's better to do that before than afterwards, because it can be awkward. When you do upgrade to Windows 11, you got about 30 days after which you can't roll that back. So that's quite important that you do know everything is going to work, because they only give you about 30 days, and then you're stuck on Windows 11 for good. There's no way to roll back.
Yeah, and I just see a message in the chat from Simon says, the rule of thumb should be, if you have any hardware or software that you can't do without, then check with the manufacturer of your hardware or software before updating to Windows 11. Great, great,
absolutely.
Great piece of advice.
Sage advice, yeah.
Yeah, great advice. Okay, Sharon, any last bits in chat that you want to reference for us?
Just Wendy there just says if she uninstalls Avast, will it stop working, or can she just? Will Windows Defender kick in?
Windows Defender, yeah, there's a kind of an API that most of these antivirus software vendors work with, which when the third-party software gets installed, it will turn off the Windows Defender and all of that security mechanism. By the same token, when you uninstall, it should then just spring back up and say, right, I'm going to take over again, and you should be fine.
Certainly in Windows 10 anyway, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Wendy says thank you.
Thank you, Wendy.
So does Joe.
Thank you very much to everybody for a really great session. Thanks sincerely to Tristram for giving so much of your time and your expertise. And we know you guys at Tech Support are very busy, so we appreciate you taking time out to join us today. Thanks very much to Sharon for supporting our session today and helping with the chat, and to everybody for being so engaged. Wishing everybody in the UK a very long and enjoyable Jubilee weekend. So best of luck, guys. Have a great time. And until we talk to you again in the beginning of July on Webinar Wednesday from Stuart Lawler and everyone at Sight and Sound, take care and goodbye.